We all like to compare this tool to that tool. Some go gaga over a gimmick that most times only get in the way when we want to use the tool. There are groups of fanboys that, if cut, will bleed their favorite tool color. In the end, we really want good tools at a fair price. Tools that will last for the next 200 years or more. We want a price good enough to keep the company in business, prices low enough so that we can afford some accessories. On this channel, I've been strong on Harbor Freight Grizzly tools, so let's ask the question: is Harbor Freight tools better than the popular name brand tools? I think this deserves a good talk about. Hello anyone, I'm Scott Bain. They call me the Old Farmer, and the channel is now called the Original Old Farmer. Before I forget, let me thank all of you for your support and your gracious comments. I know not every person will like every topic. If I occasionally slide something in that's outside of the topic of the channel, I hope you will understand. Now on to the question on the floor. Does Harbor Freight have equal or better tools than the name brands? I remember before I got into the Bauer line of tools at Harbor Freight, I saw a YouTube video of someone dismantling a Snap-on tool. It was the Snap-on half-inch pneumatic impact wrench, and he also disassembled a Harbor Freight earthquake half-inch pneumatic impact wrench. There was no doubt whatsoever that the earthquake wrench was substantially better made with better components. What I like most with Harbor Freight is the warranty of 90 days. This is more than enough time to see if the tool will hold up or not. If it has a motor and ball bearings, I buy the extended warranty. For me, I insist upon a product line to have no more than a 3% failure rate across the product line. Anything more and I won't buy it. As you know, I have chastised Harbor Freight in the past for using its customer base as quality control, and they have gotten much better. I also follow the YouTube channel Project Farm. He sure does like beating up products to see how they hold up. If you push any tool past its design, it will eventually fail. The Den Tool has torn up a good number of hand tools to see which ones are good tools and which ones to avoid. The fit and finish has been criticized as being poor on some tools. To me, if the tool doesn't hurt the hand, finish isn't a big deal. If you look at the results from the Den of Tools channel, Icon, Doyle, Quinn, and Bremen are top-tier tools, and most folks will agree. Pittsburgh tools aren't bad either. I use them all the time, along with the Tecton tools. With Harbor Freight's lifetime warranty on hand tools, if you break or strip one, it's a fast swap out for a new one from the store. And for Tecton, take a photo and email it, and in a few days you have a new tool. You can break any hand tool with too much force, any tool. Just to let you know, I haven't ruined any Pittsburgh hand tools. I could, but I haven't. But what about power tools? Air, corded, and battery. How does Harbor Freight stack up to the popular brands? Other than for the Warrior line, which are for the budget-minded buyer, the Hercules and Bauer lines, as well as the other Harbor Freight lines, fall in the middle of the pack for quality and for doing the job. Some other tools might do the job a minute faster or maybe a bit lighter. Harbor Freight lines are competitive and will work for the homeowner, hobbyist, and even in the workshop for commercial work. especially the new Beef Boys in the Hercules line. I have mentioned before that the Earthquake half-inch pneumatic impact wrench is better than anything offered by Snap-on, and by inference, the other major brands. As for the Hercules 12-inch miter saw with shadow line, it is as good or better than DeWalt, Milwaukee, Rigid, and even Festool. Let's be honest, Festool may have added a gadget or two to a tool, but with a cut, chop, drill, hammer, or suck, that is with a vacuum, the question comes down to, do they do any better than the mainline Harbor Freight tools, and at somewhere around 3 times as much as a Harbor Freight tool? No, I don't think they do any better, at the most equal. What do I think about the Warrior line and similar budget lines from Harbor Freight? If you don't push the tools and don't let them get hot, they will do fine. They will be, for most tools, slower, less dirty, but again, don't overdo it. They will do fine for those starting out or for someone who wants to try out a style of tool, such as if you've never used an angle grinder. Maybe the Warrior line will tell you if you will use it enough to warrant buying something in the Bauer or Hercules line. If you do, you now have a backup tool. This is great if you need 2 different discs for a project. Warrior tools do have their place in the tool chest. I have 3 angle irons, 2 corded and the battery-powered Bauer. The cheap one I got from Harbor Freight for $5. The other corded is an Hitachi, so I think I'm set for angle grinders. I don't mind paying for better quality, but in most instances, it isn't for better quality, only a name. I don't pay for names. Stanley Black & Decker does this to their tool lines, and especially with the Craftsman line. Some folks may think I'm cheap, but I do have a Veritas rabbit plane, and they aren't cheap. Harbor Freight, because of the success of the Predator line of generators, is starting to jack up the prices for a higher profit margin. So Harbor Freight isn't a little Miss Innocent. Also, the freight is starting to have a multitude of different pricing structures, such as when they were printing coupons and a catalog. Yes, I believe Harbor Freight has a few bad habits, but overall, I believe they do care about the customer. They are the leader in not hiding a tool that needs a recall. Recalls aren't cheap, and Harbor Freight will suck up the pain so that a tool failure won't hurt the customer. As for pricing, there should only be a 4-tier pricing structure. A pricing structure for those with a Harbor Freight credit card. The 2nd tier level is the Inside Track Club. The 3rd tier is products on sale, and the last is the everyday price of a product. Although I believe the ITC membership should get the best deal, not the credit card. As an example, with a credit card, you save 5% on all products. I believe this should be true for non-sale items with the ITC membership. Plus, ITC members should get sale pricing when purchasing off the website. With these types of considerations, Harbor Freight would increase sales and also credit card and ITC memberships. Being 45 minutes away from the closest store, we use the Owasso store because the way they treat customers. It has to be one of the best stores in the whole chain. But I would purchase more from Harbor Freight if I could get the same pricing for web purchases because I'm an ITC member. Come on, Harbor Freight, wake up to today's events. As it is, I would have to be paying shipping on the order. But for accessories, sandpaper, blades, bits, and other such things that are similar, free shipping above a certain amount should be included. Gas prices are going up and it costs more to drive to a store. In fact, with the way the economy is changing, I would not be surprised if the freight might have to close a few stores. Stores are expensive to operate. In fact, I was talking with a small businessman The business was small, not the man, who was thinking of opening a storefront. I suggested otherwise. He would have to pay at least $2,500 a month to open up a small store. The financial load on Harbor Freight is even higher for storefronts. If you keep the stores at least 1 hour from one another and friendly up the web purchases, Harbor Freight will do just fine, especially with moving the OEM sites out of China. In fact, at a limited level, maybe it's time to start producing some products here in the United States in your own factories to test the waters. If it works out, you can OEM to other companies to keep the production line operating. Just an idea. Yes, Harbor Freight does have a few potholes in the road. Just read a tool manual from the freight. But overall, these are good tools at a good price, and many are good enough to use in a commercial setting, especially the Hercules 12-inch miter saw, also the Earthquake pneumatic half-inch impact driver, and the new extra rugged Hercules tools. Let me conclude by saying Harbor Freight is a completely different store from 5 years ago. If you haven't been in for a while, it might be a good idea to stop by and take an hour looking at the tools now available. I think you would be glad that you did. Before we go, it's important to quickly mention for all who are visiting to subscribe, ring the bell, leave a comment, and share with friends and family. Now for the most important part. Thank you to those who have subscribed. Thank you. And yes, thank you to those who are visiting. We value you too. We're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers so that we may receive a pittance from YouTube to cover expenses. We replaced one camera, tripod, and bought a water-cooled editor for video production, plus all the tools we review. So if you could help us reach that 1,000 subscription point, thank you. Well, this is the old farmer Scott Bain. Be well, be safe, and be kind to someone.
Don't forget to click like and click subscribe on the Old Farmer YouTube channel. And thanks again for watching. Bye.
The VFW National Home for Children, providing families of veterans and active duty military opportunities for growth and development in a nurturing community. Please consider a donation to help their children and families. I.C. Rhodes speaking.